Step into the world of CrimeSceneX. Our spotlight today focuses on 3 bone-chilling stories of real-life confrontations with the cartel. If you find these tales compelling, hit the like button, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for a series of eerie adventures. The humid night air stuck to my skin as I walked through the narrow, poorly lit streets of the small Mexican town I had just moved to. My friend Luis had convinced me to make the move, saying life was simpler and more genuine here. One evening, after visiting a local cantina, I stumbled upon a leather notebook on the ground. Curiosity got the best of me, and I began to leaf through it. It was filled with names, numbers, and locations. It looked like someone's ledger. Just as I was about to close it, a photograph slipped out, revealing the image of a cartel leader I'd seen on the news, Javier El Diablo Mendoza. My heart raced. I shouldn't have picked this up. The very next day, I heard a knock on my door. 3 men, faces shadowed by the brims of their hats, stood outside. The middle one spoke. "We believe you have something that belongs to us." I tried to play dumb. "I don't know what you're talking about." They didn't believe me. Suddenly, they burst through the door, overturning my furniture, looking for the ledger. In a split-second decision, I bolted out the back, sprinting as fast as I could. The narrow alleyways turned into a maze as I darted around corners, hearing their shouts and footsteps close behind. Every shadow became a potential hiding spot, every noise a signal of danger. My breath became ragged, but fear propelled me forward. At one point, I ducked into a small store and begged the shopkeeper to hide me. He motioned toward a trapdoor leading to the basement. I didn't think twice. In the pitch black below, I listened as heavy boots thudded above. Their voices echoed, searching, calling out threats. Hours seemed to pass. Finally, silence. The shopkeeper eventually helped me out, whispering that they had gone but would likely return. He gave me an old hat and poncho, urging me to blend in and leave town. I contacted Luis, who was horrified. "You need to leave," he insisted. "El Diablo doesn't forgive or forget." Using back routes and the help of locals sympathetic to my plight, I began my escape. But the cartel's reach was vast. I spotted their members in towns I passed through, always seeming to be one step behind me. The chase continued for what felt like weeks. Several times, I barely escaped, and more than once, the kindness of strangers saved me. Finally, crossing the border into the US provided a momentary sigh of relief, but the feeling of being watched, of being hunted, never truly left me. I traveled from town to town, constantly looking over my shoulder. In the heart of Mexico, I was the violinist that the town of Sinaloa whispered about. The melodies I played were haunting, a reflection of the soul of our tormented region. Known to the locals as El Violinista de Sinaloa, my fame was modest, but significant enough to be noticed by the wrong ears. One evening after playing at a local bar, a black SUV pulled up beside me. The tinted window rolled down to reveal the cold eyes of a man I recognized, but wished I hadn't. Carlos La Sombra Vargas, a top lieutenant in the Vega cartel. He admired my talent, he said, and wanted me to play at a private gathering for Don Vega. The chill in his voice told me it wasn't a request. The mansion, surrounded by armed guards, felt more like a prison than a residence. Every note I played felt like a plea for my life. One wrong string, one off tune, and I was certain it would be my last performance. As the evening wore on, I was given a short break. Looking for a restroom, I mistakenly entered a room where a group of cartel members were in deep discussion. Before they noticed me, I overheard them talking about an imminent shipment and a planned assassination of a rival cartel leader. Panicking, I slipped out, hoping they hadn't seen me. But the very air felt heavy with danger. When the night ended, they paid me generously and with a warning to keep silent about where I had played and who I had played for. But the weight of the knowledge was unbearable. Debating internally, I finally confided in an old school friend, Rafael, who had become a local journalist. We knew going to the police was not an option. Many were in the cartel's pockets. Rafael contacted an international journalist he trusted. Our plan was to secretly record a subsequent meeting using a tiny microphone embedded in my violin. It was an insane risk, but the potential payoff was the safety of many. The night of the operation, every glance in my direction from the cartel members felt like a death threat. Sweat poured down my face, not from the heat, but from sheer terror. But as the night wore on, the plan seemed to be working. However, as I was leaving, La Sombra cornered me. He didn't say a word. He just tapped my violin case, his cold eyes filled with suspicion. My heart raced. The next day, the story exploded internationally. The cartel was exposed, leading to major crackdowns, but victory came at a cost. Rafael was found dead, an apparent suicide, though everyone knew the truth. And I went into hiding, constantly on the move. Every creak, every shadow, every unfamiliar face became a potential threat. I now play my violin in secret, in places where no one knows the name El Violinista de Sinaloa. My melodies are more haunting than ever, echoing with the pain of loss and the constant shadow of death. The music continues, but the cost of its notes is a price I pay every day. I had always been fascinated by the vast, untouched landscapes of the Mexican countryside. My friends and I were avid off-road bikers, always searching for the next uncharted trail. Ignoring the warnings about certain parts of the country, our insatiable thirst for adventure led us to the hidden trails of Durango. We had been riding for hours, the world a blur of cacti and dust, when we stumbled upon a remote village that wasn't on any of our maps. Hungry and tired, we decided to stop. The village seemed almost frozen in time, with an unsettling quietness. As we parked our bikes, we noticed the wary glances of the locals. It was clear outsiders weren't common. Wanting to be respectful, I approached a local store, trying to strike up a conversation in my broken Spanish. I asked if we could buy some food and water. The shopkeeper, an old woman with deeply etched lines on her face, reluctantly sold us some supplies but warned us to leave before nightfall. As we were repacking our bikes, a sleek black SUV pulled up. Heavily tinted windows rolled down, revealing a man with a piercing gaze. His gold tooth gleamed as he sized us up. "Tourists?" "Just bikers passing through," I replied, trying to sound casual. He smirked. "This is private land. You shouldn't be here." Around him, several men emerged from the shadows, their faces masked by bandanas, and the cold gleam of weapons visible. Panic surged. I remembered the rumors about cartels controlling vast parts of the country, using remote areas for their operations. Had we unknowingly trespassed on their territory? The man continued, "You have two choices. Leave your bikes, your gear, everything, and walk out of here. Or..." The unspoken threat hung in the air. We quickly agreed, abandoning our bikes and backpacks. The man laughed. "Remember this. Tell your friends. This place, it's off the map for a reason." With heavy hearts, we began our long trek back to civilization, the weight of our naivety pressing down. Every rustle in the bushes, every distant engine roar made us jump, the threat of the cartel's reach forever imprinted in our minds. The journey home was a blur of paranoia and fear. While we lost our bikes and gear that day, we gained a haunting lesson on the very real dangers that lurk in the forgotten corners of the world. The thrill of uncharted trails would never again blind us to the shadows that they might hide. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please like the video, comment what you thought, and subscribe for daily uploads.